Assalamu alaikum, Annie. How are you?
Walaikum salam, Faizan. Mashallah, perfect and good.
How's Lahore nowadays? It must be hot.
Uh, Last 2 days has been a very prettiest weather, I think, in Lahore.
Really?
But yes, it got hotter a few days back.
Sweet. And
Even today, it's a beautiful weather outside.
Lahore surprises you. But overall,
Yeah,
it's getting hotter, right?
yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's end of May, starting June. So yes.
And how are you holding up with the quarantine?
Just struggling, I think, as like all of the Pakistanis, I would say. But yes, better staying at home. And I think I got time. I'm finding it better because I got time to finish up my research papers and, all those pending works which I haven't been able to do because of my, work routine, going, coming. So I'm finding it pretty cool like that. And sitting at home, it has become like, I think, uh, you know, a wish to stay at home for a while. During the last few years, I've been like moving in and out of the house like anything. So I think in my case, it's a wish come true. But I hope it ends soon. It shouldn't be too much prolonged.
Yes. So everybody, we all dreamed about this, right? Just sitting home and doing everything from
Exactly.
home. So
Yes,
now
all
we
the
have,
all the people who are working day and night, especially in architecture. So I was finding it terrible, last 3 years. And I actually, Faizan, I'll tell you the truth. I was thinking of taking EOL, that's a year leave, right, to stay and get back to myself, like what is happening. So it's God gifted for me till now, I would say. But yes, now after 2 to 3 months, it's starting to hit you. Okay, you can't do this anymore. Now you want to go back to work and things like that.
okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see you're doing great, and I can now. You know what? I'll put your introduction in the description as well, so we don't need to go into that detail. But just a
Okay,
quick
that's fine.
overview for everybody who's listening, that Annie here is an architect by profession, and she's a unique profile that she also teaches in a university, but then she also practices with her husband. So she has a taste of both the worlds, and she is a Fulbrighter. She went to you know what? I didn't know that Pratt was such a fancy school. It's right in the middle of Brooklyn, and they say it's very expensive. So
Yes, it's one of the expensive schools of New York. Yeah.
so I was like, wow, good for you, Annie. So I didn't know
Yes, the
that.
fact that I landed up at Pratt was, the thing I like most about that school was that it was in the center of New York. Like
It
the
is.
best part about that school. And yes, I recommend all my students who are going for Fulbright. I tell them, look, if you end up going to New York, please choose that school. Forget about the name and the ranking. That's my take on that. So I don't know, but I love being in New York and Pratt.
Yeah, I kind of missed living in New York or any metropolitan city in the US for that case. And I've been living in a university town, which is a totally different experience.
That Yes, that too is a very good experience.
It is,
I
it is.
must say, living in a university, and that is also an amazing experience. But yes, for people who have to just go and you've spent good 5 years there. So people who just have to go for 1.5 years, so I feel that they should get most out of it in a short time. So they had to get most out of it in the short time. So they should prefer New York. That's my take on that.
Great. So you graduated from Pratt, and if I remember, you specialized in what you used to call parametric design. So
No, it wasn't parametric design, it was digital architecture. The degree itself was digital architecture, and digital architecture is a huge domain, and parametric is one, domain, one section of that era area.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
So Any, before we jump into the questions about architectural practice in Pakistan, academics and the industry, why don't you complete your story? Like when you returned home and you are a graduate from the US, you have studied this modern techniques and everything. So what happened?
Yeah, I'll quickly go through the background as well, because that is also very
Mhm.
important. Because I spent, after graduating from UET in 2024 to 2004, I practiced 3.5 years at Wasif Ali Associates. So that was an amazing experience in its own self, because there I learned what actually architecture in Pakistan is like. And while working on several projects, and getting to know the hardcore architecture. And the best part about that experience was that I get to learn one style, minimalism, which was Wasif Salih at his best. So if you talk about my architectural style till today is based on minimalism, because I'm so fond of that. And that was those were the basis of my design theory. So whenever I design, I never forgot those lines which Wasif Ali taught me. So that was amazing experience. But after 3.5 years, I got this Fulbright scholarship. And when I landed into Pratt, and I was so sure that, I've been practicing in the field, so doing a master's degree won't be an issue, and I was so confident. With this confidence, I entered Pratt and New York. But then the first semester was terrible, trust me, because they were teaching us digital architecture, which we were like, oh my god, what is this, what is this, this is not related to what we've been doing there. And nothing is related, obviously the main domain architecture was related, but they were teaching us tools, they were teaching us so many new things, and in fact the theories. So it confused me, to an extent that all of us, like there were a lot of Indian colleagues of mine, they were brilliant in India, back in India. And, I was a Fulbrighter, and we were all very confident, doing a master's degree won't be a problem. But yes, so digital architecture changed the whole perception of architecture for me. So that was an amazing experience too. But what I felt was that in the field, they taught us to stay in a box. We are actually enclosed in Pakistani practice, I would say. They taught us to be in a box in all methods. Obviously, I respect that. I'm not saying that anything wrong with it. But at Pratt, I experienced the flavor of true academia. That academia is not only learning how to draw, how to construct. Academia involves thinking out of the box. So that was a major, hold and major change which came to me while thinking about architecture. So that was a completely different experience. So I then uh, came back to again the unfortunate thing that after 1.5 years we have to jump back to go back to our own countries. But when I came back and I realized the industry is doing just the same, they were doing just the same thing. I searched for jobs, and I found it very quickly that if I kept on working in the practice, I would lose whatever I've learned in those years, those amazing 1.5 years. So I had to hit academia. So I joined university then, and realizing that maybe there is a chance of me practicing what I want in academia. So that's how I landed up in academia, because practice in Pakistan was not welcoming at all way back in 2010. I know things are changing slightly now, but then then again, academia has a different flavor. When I joined there, so I realized that, oh my God, we are also in academia. Also, we are relying on decade-old framework of teaching, and our course outlines are the same old ones, and there was no room for invention. But luckily, I find myself really blessed to be in architecture department UET, because here the teachers are free to practice what they want. In a way, there's no no very strict observation on them. We are the bosses in our own classes. You must have an idea for that. So that gave me an opportunity. And in 2013, I started to explore parametrics in the studio. And I think Rabia was my student back then. She's from the first batch whom I taught parametrics. So, and these girls did an amazing job. And after that semester, I realized that my strength is my students. So if I want to do something, that is through the students. Because I must say that we've been hearing a lot of things about, even myself, why are you doing from UET? What is, why don't you go abroad and things like that? But what I felt is that the biggest strength in UET is the students. The students are so much into work. They want to explore, they want to invent. They have so much capacity and they have so much energy. The right students, I'm not talking about all of them, but yes, the right students. So that that gives me energy all the time, so to move on with my research practices. And from 2013 onwards, so it's been 7 years, I've been working really hard, I would say, to to explore the subject. And I have attended quite a lot of workshops all around Pakistan. And I've been always presenting my students' work, which they've done with me, and getting applaud from all over, all the platforms. And just the mission is to tell them, look, that the digital architecture is the new way to go. There are you cannot work the way you've been working since so long. So that's the basic aim. I don't know.
I can totally relate to the academics part, that like there is so much power in front of you in form of students. And that's it.
Right.
In a way, the academics field, as a teacher, you also feel contributing a lot. Like it's a fulfilling job as well.
Yes,
The job
yes, exactly.
helping the patients. So that's what I really like about academics, and that's why I want to stick to academics, um, at least at a part time, because it's very fulfilling. Okay,
Definitely, definitely.
when you were talking about it, I thought of a question right away, that you're practicing and you're teaching students. How does they help each other, your practice and your academics? Do you, yeah, go on.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, Faizan, I don't know about other fields, but in architectural community, I feel there's a huge barrier among the practicing architect and the academicians. And there are several, I would say, rigid issues they've taken into, whenever we used to invite architects, practicing architects for juries, I feel they need to change their attitude, mindset a little bit, because when they're coming to academia, they should be more open towards ideas and concepts, rather than, oh, how are we going to build it, and how is this going to get built? Because I don't blame them as well, because yes, that's their strong part. Obviously they know how to build a structure, but that's not the only thing. In academia, I feel out of the box thinking must be appreciated. It should be one of the strongest thing to look at when you can't go for juries. So I feel I've been telling this on several platforms as well, that we need to bridge the gap between academicians and practicing architects. There, I feel, and again, there are younger architects who are who are changing the trend, I would say, but still there's a huge gap. And then there's age difference as well, because the senior lot in architecture thinks the way they used to think way back, and they don't want to bring in much innovation. And so I feel it's a struggle to amalgamate them. But I think the solution lies there as well, because until unless academia and practice do not work together, we won't be able to achieve anything bigger.
Very
That's
well.
my take on it.
Yep, that's the real truth. I mean, everybody kind of knows it, but I don't know,
Yeah.
nobody acts upon it, and I don't know.
Yes.
We're still there.
Yes, and I'm grateful for you to start this platform because I think it's a great idea to bring up the issues, industrial issues, to the people and make them realize that there are certain very, major issues which can resolve so many of our problems.
You know what? It reminds me of my visit to Auburn University, which is down in Alabama. They
Yeah,
had this exercise where they brought in construction students, civil engineering students, and architecture students together for
exactly.
events so that they could
Hmm.
do all the timeline of a project in the lab.
Exactly. And one, sorry.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
go on, please.
And another important problem is that the interdisciplinary interaction. Although we've been studying in this, the University of Engineering and Technology, Lahore, with so many departments around us, like 5 minutes away, not even 5 minutes away, but the interaction amongst these disciplines is very less. Is very less. So we need platforms. I am looking forward for all those PhDs gone abroad and they're going to come back. I'm looking forward for them to come back and start such platforms where we can intermingle, we can interact, we can talk about our issues, other than the salary and the income issues. We can talk about something positive and, do something really strongly, so interdisciplinary amalgamation is way less than what is expected in 2020, I would say.
Absolutely. And that's where I got a little lucky too, because the school I go here to, it's called School
Hmm.
of Planning, Design, and Construction. So they have design, planning, and construction, all three programs in one school. It's a very,
Right.
it's a diverse community, but at the same time, they are related to each other. So the discussions are amazing.
Amazing. Yes, we need to bring that culture back here in Pakistan, especially in academia. Academia is lacking. I feel lacking really badly with such kind of. There are things which are happening, but at a very slow pace. So we need to work on that. I think seriously.
Okay, Annie. So I want to ask you something, but I still cannot put it into words. Maybe the
Hmm.
best way to ask it is to take a hypothetical project and talk about the stakeholders. For a building
Hmm.
project in Pakistan, who is the
Hmm.
boss? Who is the decision maker? Where do things go wrong when innovation has to come in? And why
Hmm.
don't the stakeholders, especially the educated stakeholders, the architects, engineers, take a stand in doing the right things? Did I make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Completely. That is a, I would say that's a big question. And as far as, again, talking about our current scenario, again, I would say here the projects are, I think, majorly ruined by the person who holds the money, whether it's the client, whether it's the, what do you say, the investor, or whoever it is. And the second thing which I feel is that even our client is not very educated, so he is not even sure what he wants. So that is also one of the major problem. And then obviously the fault lies in architects dealing as well, because getting an architectural project, bigger, I would say, bigger architectural project is such a challenge in a country like ours, that no, the architects are handling the whole situation in a very different, with a very different approach, uh, rather than what the right approach is. So I think all of them are involved in uh, the bad design in the end. This, everyone's contributing towards it. uh, and again, talking in terms of architecture as well, only the our bylaws, again, as I said, that in academia we are working on the same old, like I think 1960s, I'm not sure, but 60s or 70s uh, course outlines, right? So similarly, when it comes to bylaws, we're still working on the same old bylaws, and there's no possibility to change them, to bring major changes in that, because I feel that if bio laws will be revised by an educated set of people, a set of people who's educated enough, who's better, and then as a nation we have a problem. We do not tend to agree to each other a lot. So it's all very complex to where to start from. But what the major reasons are, I think it has to start at a root level. We need to improve our design while bringing change from the root level. As I've been debating that we need to impart digital architecture. We need to bring in technology into architecture, more technology into architecture, and I'm sure civil engineering and other fields. I feel architecture is lacking way behind the time. They should, and it should start at academia level, and it should start at the course outlines, the 5-year program, the 5-year framework, which we are working on. So it should start from there. So similarly, in any project, the things goes wrong. Major things goes wrong where we do not start with the right bylaws, where we do not start with the need of the people. We do not look at the users, and we're not ready to change those. So time changes everything. So with time, you need to change, you need to adopt, you need to have flexibility. So we need to now adapt to newer things, bring new changes into the basics which we've been working on. I hope I made myself clear.
Think about
So
the clients, I can easily see how things go wrong in the government sector, because all the decision makers are non-technical people. They don't know
it,
of anything here. So that,
exactly.
and but the private clients need, I mean, we can at least impact the private clients in our capacity. So that is where perhaps the communication skills and convincing skills of architects come in.
Should be, yes, definitely. I would totally agree to that our architects should be. And I feel architect can only be convincing and will have a convincing power if he or she has the right exposure uh, to it. So definitely architects should have should have the right convincing powers for especially for the private clients, because we've been working with army people as well, with our firm, and we have worked with a lot of government, some of government projects, and now in the longer run, when we compare, me and my husband, so it's always difficult to work with government officials, and as at the same time uh, army persons as well. But the army is more, I think, again, progressive enough to understand. So it sometimes depends also, okay, what kind of client you're dealing with. That also counts a lot. But yes, because I see the interaction with when I've interacted with these uh, clients which belong to army or a government body, you have to be very tactful. You have to be very tactful. You have to, unless you lose a project, or you have to be tactful. So tactful means that you listen to them most of the time, and then it's a constant struggle. It's not easy. It's just saying that okay, I have the right exposure. Sometimes like offend them too much. So you have to be very careful.
Right. Maybe we need to introduce a negotiation skills course, especially for architects and other designers.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes. And Faizan, this is between, I don't want to sound very negative about our country, because I feel we have a lot of potential and we have a lot of talent, mashallah. and I'm always positive about the situation. And that's why, and I think the way we in Pakistan, being in a third world country, the way we can experiment anything is beyond the scope of like any Western country, because we have all the things in our hand if we want to, it's because, and we have so many issues to deal with, because when I stepped into research, I realized, oh my God, research in Pakistan is, you can do research on every topic here. Like if you turn right, there's a topic in front of you. If you turn left, there's a topic in front of you, because we do not have written material as such. We do not have basic. We're standing at the basic level. So I feel that there's a lot of scope of research and doing something very drastic in Pakistan as compared to the Western world. So we're lucky. I feel lucky in that sense. But obviously, these other things come with the package, where you can't convince a client, where you can't convince a government body. Like if you talk about myself, just telling the academia people that you do not, you're not producing draftsmen in architecture school. You're producing architects. You need to appreciate their out of the box thinking. You need to appreciate, something which can't be built in Pakistan, for example, but you need to appreciate it. So just telling them that, making them aware is a challenge, and still a challenge. Some of them do understand, but most of them say, no, oh, this is not possible in Pakistan. It's not going to be happening in 10 years from now on. So, convincing that kind of mindset is always been difficult. But at the same time, I get so much, as I did discuss, that I get such a fulfilling feeling out of my student work, because when I see the younger youth, willing to work so much, so then I say, oh my God, I have a lot to explore, rather than just go and argue with them, ye kara do, do this and do not do this. So it's a mixture, I would say. But I still feel, if you want to do something, I think Pakistan has more potential to do something different and good.
Every problem is an opportunity, and Pakistan is full of
Yes,
that.
exactly. To put it shortly. Yes.
So let's finish at this good note, that there is hope, and we are moving perhaps slowly, but in the right direction.
Yes.
And
Ye-
I still remember the course I taught with you. Remember the,
yes, definitely.
and now
Yeah.
it's such a cringing feeling when I think about what did I do there. So I've grown, alhamdulillah, and I'm sure everybody.
Yeah.
So things are moving forward, and I hope
No,
that.
no, no, definitely. And I think, yes, we are very slow paced, and we have, several issues, but it's always good to look at the positivity as well, which we have, I think, in Pakistan, and people like you and me who can come back and do, I think we have the responsibility to do quite a lot. Just talking about the negative aspects won't work. So we'll have to do something really positive to make it better, make the situation better. And one last thing before I forget, I would really want to thank you for making me part of this platform which you've initiated, which I really, really am appreciating the fact that you've started this, the conversation talk in this time where, you can't do much productive work otherwise.
My life was so bland, and I was feeling such waste. So this was the quickest and the most
No,
valuable
no, no,
thing that came to my mind. So I hope
no,
it's
that's
like
good.
I don't push it to be more professional or anything. I want to have a good time as well while talking to people.
Yes, definitely. I had a great time.
We can
I
generate
was
something that's an added value.
yes, totally. That's a totally creative idea, and I really appreciate it.
Okay, Annie, I'll let you go. Thank you so much. I hope everybody at your home, your family, and your friends, everybody's doing great. And I hope we come out of this phase, this corona pandemic thing, um,
Inshallah.
health and
Hopefully soon.
with our sanity intact, most importantly. So,
Yeah.
so till then,
Agreed.
Annie, thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Faizan.
Thank you.
Okay.
A
Take
wonderful rest.
care.
Bye bye.
Take care. Bye.